Responded, Dr. Jen Ashton. And Doc, let's focus on the symptoms.
Yep.
What should people look out for?
So most people have heard of Bell's palsy. This is similar in the world of neurology. Let's do some mini med school because it really has to do with what the function of the facial nerve, that cranial nerve, does in terms of the symptoms. Sound ringing in the ears. If you make your living in music and performing, obviously that can be a problem, but to anyone dealing with this can be really troubling.
But he also said in the post, he talks about having trouble eating.
Yeah, and that's really important because it's easy to think of this just our whole, body.
And are there treatments? The big question.
There's management, and the good news is that about 75% of these cases do recover on their own. But early in speaking to neurology colleagues, Michael, there are some treatments out there like electrical stimulation. They are generally strongly discouraged. They can actually make the inflammation to the facial nerve worse.
And say this does go away, and does it come back?
It usually does not come back, but the most important thing now is when you hear a worldwide celebrity like Justin Bieber bring attention to this, it helps so many people.
Without a doubt. So I'm glad he did that. Correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton is back now to help us understand this a little bit more. And Doc, what do we know about stomach cancer?
Well, again, big picture, it's great that we're talking about it and bringing awareness. First, in terms of how common is it? And most people, not all, but most are diagnosed after the age of 55, even more after the age of 65.
So what signs and symptoms should we be looking out for?
Well, this is where it gets tricky because these are vague, some of them, but there is a list and obviously out.
So how is it diagnosed and what can we do to lower the risk?
Well, in terms of diagnosis, you need an upper endoscopy with a biopsy, so that's not something, that's why there's no screening test. It's not exactly an easy or inexpensive procedure to do. But in terms of lowering risk, we don't understand exactly what causes stomach cancer. There are some leading theories, H. pylori bacterial infection, there's certain genetic mutations that are associated with this. But in terms of lowering risk, controlling the things we checkups, prevention is really important. And this is an opportunity to speak to a healthcare provider about your lifestyle and things that you might be feeling.
Yeah, those regular doctor checkups really, really help.
Important.
All right, Doc. Thank you as always. Appreciate you.
Oh, hello there, everybody. And a happy Monday to you all. How you doing down there, Dr. Ashton?
Never better.
Rose,
Not as good as you, apparently.
Yeah. I love Mondays. It's a fresh start. We get to do it over. We get to see how it goes. I love Mondays.
Duly noted.
Nobody else, okay.
Said no one ever. That's right. But we're happy you're happy, and we're also glad to see all of you as we begin, a brand new week.
There it is.
Yeah, we have ABC Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jen Ashton joining us as always as we track the day's major developments. Take a look at this big number. As House hearings grip the country's attention again, Nielsen reporting 20 million Americans watched the first night of primetime hearings into the January 6th Capitol siege.
And of course, people will continue to watch those hearings go on. That was the only prime time, but big number there. People are certainly interested. Dr. Ashton, something you're interested in here. This is a headline. You've been talking about this the past month or so, but having to do with ticks and a woman dying of a tick-borne disease.
Yeah,
what is this about?
Multiple medical headlines that the CDC is bringing to our attention, local news, and also reminding us that medical news is not just about COVID and the helpful to get those ticks off, especially in areas where you cannot see.
All right, Dr. Jen, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're going to turn now to ABC's Rena Roy here in our Times Square studios with the latest headlines for us. Good afternoon, Rena.
Hey, Amy, good afternoon, and happy Monday. I know TJ is excited for the...
Dr. Ashton on this side of me today.
Don't get nervous.
It is. This really threw me off to be sitting here.
It's weird.
Do.
Yes.
But Dr. Ashton, hey, you were talking about this morning on Good Morning America. News we got about Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber made an announcement at the end of the day on Friday about the fact that he's been diagnosed with something called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which is, you can think of it similar to Bell's palsy, similar to shingles, in that it's a reactivation of the varicella virus. So anyone who's had chickenpox can get this. It's pretty rare, according to my colleagues in neurology. It affects about 5 out of every 100,000 people. And similar to Bell's palsy, most of the time it's temporary, but it causes an inflammation and in some cases a paralysis of the facial nerve, which when you're a performer or someone who sings, I mean, it can be a problem for anyone, but particularly for him. So he is struggling with moving that side of the face, with swallowing, sometimes some hoarseness, some ability to make tears. Most of the time it resolves on its own with some antiviral medication and steroids, but I mean, just to bring awareness to this, even though it's rare, I think is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, it was striking to hear this isn't just about aesthetics. I mean, there are actual real complications with living your life. You can't even blink on one side.
Right.
Is there any indication how long this typically lasts?
There isn't. I mean, part of it has to do with how severe the onset is. So the more inflammation of that facial nerve, the longer it can take to resolve. Inflammation just means literally that nerve swells and then its functions are impaired. And when you talk about being able to close your eye, to make tears, to blink, and to chew and swallow, you know, that's a big deal. So we wish him the best and thank him for bringing this to everyone's attention.
All right, Dr. Ashton, we thank you as always. Stay with us, folks, on GMA3. We're right back. Certainly the drivers, and it looks like the gas station owners, they hate it as well.
It's a consensus. All right, Dr. Jen's here with us now. Question, what are some...
Really makes us realize that things are packaged or marketed or promoted as, you know, having some kind of benefit, but in general, there's not a lot of good nutritional science data to support that. So it's an overall approach to eating here, which I like because it can be fit into anyone's style of what they eat. But in general, we're talking about fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts, extra virgin olive oil, fish. All of those things have purported anti-inflammatory benefits. But remember, when we talk about the way these are studied, you can't study one ingredient in isolation, right? Because we're combining our foods with other things and it's going into a huge individual. So that's why I think it's a holistic approach. Eat from the farm, not the factory.
Well, is that big in the food industry?
Science.
I mean, are there a lot of places
course. And you
anti-inflammatory?
Absolutely, and it's not just a marketing thing. It's, you know, even in science, you hear this in articles and TV segments, but really it's an approach to eating rather than one specific food.
All right, and this got Robach's attention a moment ago when she heard your prescription for wellness had to do with core strength and balance.
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they think about their core and training their core, we think of what? Right, the crunch, the sit-up, the plank. It's really important. I learned this from my friend Harley Pasternak, the celebrity fitness expert. Train the entire core, meaning your back. All of that helps your core. So my favorite exercise for that, just lie on the floor, do a Superman pose, hold it for as long as you can, arms and legs off the ground. They don't have to be raised that much, and you're really getting that whole back.
Do you use mouthwash while you're doing that?
No, you do not have to gargle while you're doing that.
Right.
That's an advanced maneuver.
All right, Dr. Ashton, thank you. Folks, keep your questions coming to us at
news.com.
Oh, welcome back to GMA3, everybody. What you're hearing there, that's Bibi. You're hearing her hit single, Best Lover, the breakout K-pop.
And she is joining us now to tell us more and to treat us to a special performance. Please, everyone, welcome Bibi. Bibi, nice to have you here. Look at this, we've got the dry ice here for you and some chandeliers. This is like, we've never seen the set look like this, so this has been a fun moment already. Now, your story is pretty remarkable. Just a few...
Yeah, and everybody likes me.
Everybody likes me, that's right. You said, talking about English, a few years ago, you were doing great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think this is pretty impressive.
Yes.
So now that you are really sweeping the world in popularity, I'm sure you're getting the question, who is on your list for someone you might want to work with, to collaborate?
Rosalia, oh my God, such in love. So, yeah.
Okay, maybe they're watching and we can make this happen for you.